Hey, step to the plate, I'ma swing for the fence. Throw me the lob, I'ma dunk it like Vince. They think I'm from Sac with the way that I'm ballin'. I feel like a king, but I'm fresher than Prince. Baltimore raised and fly like a raven. Made it through mazes, that shit amazing. Vision so clear, they thought I got LASIK. Cradle to grave, we pounding that pavement. Made up my mind, told them pass me the rock with the game on the line. I'm taking a shot, shit all of my life had to play from behind. And now they just watch, like is he gon' stop? I tell them I can't. They think it's a game, they take me for joke, I just laugh to the bank.
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 101. For those who have been following us for quite some time, you may have been surprised by a new intro song. And you may have thought you were listening to another podcast. You are not listening to another podcast. It is a brand new intro song that was introduced on episode 100 by a close friend of mine and one of the most talented rappers out, indie rappers out right now from San Francisco, the Bay. My buddy Fifth, Fifth, very talented rapper from San Francisco. And I wanted to surprise you guys with something new for episode 100. And that's exactly what we did. On this episode, I have on my co-host a gentleman who's very distinguished, probably taller than me. I definitely beat him in the follicle area, but he probably beats me in the height area. So everybody welcome in Mr. HBCW himself, Randal.
What up, everybody?
Brother Randal, what's going on, man?
It's another day, another week. Been going through feel like I done gone through all the seasons in a 7-day span. Went from 82-degree weather here in St. Louis, went to Orlando, got to be in a tropical storm / hurricane. I don't know what it was when it came over, but it was something. And came back here to St. Louis and experienced some snow flurries yesterday. So I don't know what's going on in the world these days. But hey, weather changes, I guess.
Bro, my sinuses are cooked. What about yours? Like my left nose, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Nah, I don't really get that too much. But who's to say? We'll see how this winter goes here.
Yeah. Well, a lot has gone on in the wrestling world since the last time we talked. We took a week off just to kind of regroup, rebrand, restructure for the next 100 episodes. We want to make it bigger, badder, funnier, and we are going to do that, and even bigger guests as we've had before, and we'll have some more familiar faces. But I really want to hop into Crowl Jewel, talking about that, WWE's annual event over in Saudi Arabia. There's some definitely interesting notes I took here about the Crowl Jewel. What were your thoughts? I'm gonna give it to you first. I am a big talker, but what did you take away from Crowl Jewel? I know you were looking forward to Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, but what are some things that you took away from it?
I think that it's one thing I'll say about these Crown Jewel events is it's kind of interesting how all the events have gone, how they're perceived. Initially there was the backlash of people just hating it and everything like that because of, political reasons, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But then, it's like, well, once Vince was gone, you don't really hear that same stuff,
Yeah.
So was it really that people just hated it for the actual reasons, or is it that they just didn't like it because here's this billionaire doing all this billionaire stuff? Like, I don't know. But anyway, as far as the event itself, there was some big matches on there. The Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match. I know I'd like to hear what you had to say about it, because I know we had kind of different opinions on what to expect from it. But I mean, I kind of figured this would get us to where we are now, whereas now they're 1-1, and now they're going to have the big blow-off match somewhere down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So since you talked about the Bobby Lashley match first, we'll kind of get into that. I thought honestly the psychology was really good in the match. The way that they started off with the selling of the knee. Again, this shows veteran. These guys have been wrestling for over a decade, probably 20 plus years, right? Brock Lesnar came in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003. So yeah, 2013, 20. Yeah, damn near 20 plus years. Both of these gentlemen, and they are in their 40s. The psychology here, especially as a long-term wrestling fan, I love, as we've talked about this before, we've debated about, I just like ultimate realism. I like logical realism as much as possible from simulated violence. So the selling of the knee, the great pacing that they had, the only thing I was left with to ask was, is Lesnar a face? Another thing that I really liked was, it was longer than expected in a good way. Because remember, we talked about previous episode that I was worried about it being very short, maybe under 5 minutes, but this had good psychology, good pacing, good length, and I wanted it to go exactly how long it went. But I'm not sure. Is Lesnar face?
8 minutes, about the same amount of time as the last match.
Really? It just seemed a little bit more. The pace seemed a little bit longer. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, you asked the question: is do you think Lesnar is a face? I think this is one of those cases where both men can have a claim as to why they're upset in the situation, and we'll talk a little bit more about what happened with Bobby afterwards. But as far as this event goes, I mean, think about it. If you're Brock, right? Brock got cheated out of the world title at Royal Rumble, and Bobby Lashley was the person who benefited from it. It's one of those things where, yeah, he was preoccupied with Roman at the time, but once he kind of got past that, it's just one of those cases where he can make a case where I ain't never forget about this.
Yeah.
And that's why he did what he did, right? But then you have Bobby, who really of no fault of his own. I mean, now, you could say, well, this guy's kind of changed his ways, but then you have the fans who are just sitting up there just like, as soon as Brock came back, they're like, one more time! Put him down! Throw him down! Beat him up! Kick him! Kick him like a dog! You know what I mean? Like, that's how the fans reacted. So I could see Lashley being like, well, forget y'all. I'm going to do what I want to do as a character.
Yeah. I agree with 100%. Yeah. Well, then I want to hop over to, and I'm just talking about the things that stood out to me. We're trying a new way of approaching things. We're not trying to be what everybody else is. We're different. I'm probably one of the most handsomest podcasters in all of pro wrestling podcasting. I will take that moniker, and I have a co-host who's equally as handsome and as intelligent as well. Very sharp dude. If I ever get into a pickle legally, I think I'll go directly to you, sir. But we had Drew Mack versus Karrion Kross in a steel cage match. Couple things that I noticed, dude, just from an aesthetic point of view, and we'll get into as we talk about AEW. There's some other things we'll talk about too. The graphics team at WWE, they really work overtime when it comes to the interactive visuals for pay-per-views like this. I really want to commend the graphics team. It just adds to the extra oomph of a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It makes it more enjoyable. Before I get into the overall match, so what did you think about the graphics overall across Crown Jewel? Did you like the interactive graphics, or do you think it's a little bit overkill, typical, or too much?
When you say the interactive graphics, are you talking about like the thing where Roman, when he's doing his entrance and they have the little 3D generated stuff with him and Usos pop up?
Yeah, and then when they do the stuff above the stadium, and then when they do the like the fireworks shooting out of the stadium, all the different new things they do.
And this time where they introduced all the drones and everything.
Yeah, did you like that?
I gotta be honest, I don't. That some of that's a little over for me. Like that 3D generated stuff that they do, I don't particularly like it. But that's just me. And I recognize that, look, people who are probably like 16, 17, 15, 12, whatever, they probably are used to seeing more of that type of stuff in the stuff that they watch. For me, it's overkill. I'd rather see a better physical set. And I know that they have big video boards, but I'd rather see more set pieces than 3D renderings and stuff like that. The drones, I guess, was okay, but again, it's no different for pyro than me.
I feel that. I get it, especially when you're a guy who watched stuff in the '80s. So basically, on a Game Boy, like the old school, the graphics for that was like the old school Game Boy. If anything, but I get what you're saying.
Look, I think if I had to say what my favorite type stuff would have been, I mean, those late '90s WWF sets, the early 2000s, like that type of stuff, that was all good. And WCW had a lot of stuff too. Like if you look at like those like Halloween Havoc in like the late '90s, like they had the big inflatable pumpkin and everything, but it didn't just look like an inflatable pumpkin. It looked like, oh, this is cool.
Like 97, 98, 99 type stuff. Yeah,
like that type of stuff looked good. I mean, and it obviously, it's there. It's something that you can physically see. Maybe that's just what it is. I don't like stuff being inserted to the show that's not actually there, if that makes sense.
I feel that. No, when it first initially started, it was corny. I get it. It was like, okay, WWE doing WWE stuff. But now I'm like, when you have something that's supposed to be so big, the Crown Jewel, and you bring in the, basically the Super Bowl in Saudi Arabia to them when it comes to professional wrestling. So maybe even a Saudi Arabian WrestleMania in some ways. But I love let's hop into the match here. I love the ending of the match, to be honest. The match was solid. It was good work. Drew, when they raced to the floor, when basically Charlotte screwed up she basically locked the gate. I like the psychology behind that, where you had Drew climbing over the gate trying to get down, and you had Karrion Kross trying to get out, and because Charlotte did that mistake, it caused Drew to win. I like the psychology there. There's more story to be told. Will he turn on her? What could be the after effects of that decision that she made? But solid match, and I just really wanted to highlight that specific portion. Did you like the ending of it?
I didn't really.
Okay.
I mean, not that I didn't like the idea of what they were doing. For me, it was the execution, because it didn't. In order for that type of finish to work, you have to believe that Cross is going to has a plausible chance of getting out of that cage before Drew does. And you did not. You can't tell me that when you looked at that, you thought that there was a chance that he was going to get out of that cage before Drew did. So that's the only issue that I had with it, is that they kind of do too much with the finish, because Drew got sprayed with mace.
Yep.
And then we have this happen, and then that happens, and then the door is locked, so he's going to go over the cage, and then he's going to it just took too long for it. It didn't gel in a way where it made okay, he's in peril. It's like, well, Drew's already over the top of this cage before he even really started crawling towards the door. So Drew's going to win the match.
Yeah, and that's a theme for Crown Jewel. There were a lot of clever endings, to say the least, and they were get cute. This was an event where they wanted to get cute with the endings, which is fine. I want to hop over something else that stood out to me, was Omos versus Strowman. Actually, way better match than I expected, to be honest. One couple things. Omos has one of he has more bass in his voice than I do in my entire car stereo system. This dude, when you hear this dude talk, it's like, where's my testosterone in comparison to his? And I got a full-on beard, but that dude, his testosterone is it's a Super Saiyan level testosterone. And I also like his new getup too. I like his outfit. Because previously he dressed like a dude that went to Zara for Giants. Like it's just a little fit, he's wearing a turtleneck and under all that heat, and in a pro wrestling ring with some jeans, some skinny jeans, so giant skinny jeans. It's just a weird combo. So I like the new outfit, the fit, as the young people say. He was drippy. He had a little swag to him. The match was way better than I thought. Two big dudes, throwing hands, being physical. I think Omos actually showed to me some development here in his working style and just getting better, where a lot of people were bashing him several months ago. Do you think Omos showed you something more? There's something to him maybe getting better?
Well, I did like every time he told Braun, "You're going to get this work."
You're going to get this work. He said something else. He said, "I'm gonna bust your ass," or something. What else he say?
Something like that. I can't. It's been so long now, but I think that this is probably something that's better for him, right? And and the fact that he's facing a guy where he doesn't have to try to go against someone who's going 100 miles an hour, right? Like, you know, with the matches with AJ, it didn't really seem like anything was going to, you know, he fought AJ, but he pretty much squashed AJ, if I remember, right? And then Lashley was basically beating him. Well, that doesn't really serve almost well.
Yeah.
Right? So, in this case, he lost to Braun, and this is no disrespect about Lashley, because we all know, like, hey, that's one of the guys I really hope the best for. But, like, you put almost against Braun Strowman, he comes across like two giants, like two really big guys, and want to know who's going to be the who's going to win between these two big guys. And yeah, almost was the heel. Strowman in the match, at least, was a pretty good face. But I think that just worked because you had a pretty good story being told between these two giants, and I think that's something that works for him. He can't do it all the time, but I think that kind of showed off his abilities better than it would with the other guys.
Yeah, people don't understand how those are huge gentlemen. It's hard to move around and be athletic and, not get tired, because the stamina of those gentlemen, and again, they were allotted a certain amount of time, but for the size and their ability there, I was definitely impressed, and I left with saying, hey, this dude is going to have a career with WWE for quite some time. And it was nice to see two spectacle of men really working it out and having a good match, regardless of the final, Strowman getting the W there. To me personally, the match of the entire Crown Jewel would be Bianca Belair and Bayley for multiple reasons. I want you to start here first, and then I'll give you my perspective. What are your thoughts about Bianca versus Bayley?
That was the last woman standing match. I mean, again, I guess because I've seen too many gimmick matches, it doesn't appeal to me like it would have 20 years ago or 25 years ago. But I'd rather see a match where it's one-on-one like they had a while ago. But I mean, for them doing what they did, they came up with some clever spots that fit what they were trying to do, and it got the crowd into it. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, Bianca Belair is the best women's wrestler in all of the North American promotions, period. She, by far, to me, it just shows me again. And Bayley, actually, in a lot of ways, people have been saying she's been treading water. She really into it. No, Bayley, in this performance, especially if she's performing as a heel, psychology-wise, performed in a manner that was showing her, obviously what she's done before. She really got into it in this match, and in certain spots, I was like, oh, she's really adding a little extra salt in the wounds here with some of her strikes and things of that nature. And so, no doubt, Bayley's great heel work really stood out here. When she's tripped, and I thought she really got hurt, she was playing possum. She was feigning an injury there at the ramp. I really was that. And again, just solidifying Bianca's. And also, it was one of the best big match performers in all of pro wrestling, men or women. The kendo trapped in the steel step spot was really dope. Like you talked about the different spots they did. So no doubt it was, you could tell that they were doing a lot of improvisational because the table didn't break like it was supposed to off that one spot. Driving down the ramp was really cool. Some of the stuff they did on the ramp, a lot of ramp work there, which can be dangerous in general. Across the board for a last man, that's not one of my favorite type of match, a last man standing match. It's just not my favorite type, but the way they performed it, the creativity that they showed, and the different tools that they used, and just the overall physicality that these two women produced was definitely watchable. And I appreciated this match for what it was in the creativity. So to me personally, it was the match of the pay-per-view. No doubt, we had the Roman Reigns match as well, which was solid and good, especially for a social media person getting into it. So yeah, that was cool. But in my opinion, I'll go Bianca Bayley.
Well, and you know what? I think too what it is I don't like the stipulation like the last man standing match unless it's like this huge feud between guys where it's like it's escalated to the point. This doesn't really feel like it doesn't really feel like it escalated to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to beat you till you can't stand anymore. It's like, okay, this was more like, haha, I'm going to try to figure out how to trap you so you can't stand up and technically beat you, even though you're conscious and able. But I guess that's what I don't like about some of these stipulations is when it gets to the point where they kind of get to the point where instead of being the essence of what it's about, now we're trying to find creative ways to win a match rather than, okay, you got The Rock and Mankind who are in this feud where they hate each other and all this stuff is happening and Mankind's this impossible guy to beat down. So how's The Rock going to do that? What's Mick Foley going to do to put The Rock down? Like those type of things, that type of match makes sense to me. But like just randomly doing it just because, okay, well, we're just going to put a stipulation. It's like, you have one match.
Yeah, and also, honestly, it was a lot of stipulations for last man. They had to go through all this list of different things. I'm like, okay, all right, okay. What did you think about the Roman Reigns Logan Paul match?
I mean, I think that the match was designed to get attention in a way where it's like, okay, well, we want to give the people over here what they want, which is big name celebrities, big moments, and stuff like that. So I think it checked all those boxes. Logan Paul obviously showed that he can hang in the ring and do what he's supposed to do.
Excuse me, yeah.
And honestly, I think that having Logan Paul on the show is a very oh boy.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I feel like having Logan Paul on the show is a very smart move because the guy, how old is Logan Paul? Like,
let's look it up. We'll look it up right now. Let's look.
I know he's in his 20s, right? He's a younger guy. Obviously, likes wrestling, can do it. He's
27.
Okay, so he's 27, right? So he's a named celebrity that has followers. But not only that, he's not just it's not like Bad Bunny, and it's not to disparage Bad Bunny, but does anybody really take Bad Bunny seriously as a wrestler? No, because he's an artist, he's smaller, that's not his lane. It was nice for an attraction, I guess, but, or who was the other guy, Johnny Knoxville? Like, no, nobody's taking Johnny Knoxville seriously as a wrestler, but Logan Paul, he can be taken seriously as a wrestler, and he's the type of guy that you can use to bring in another audience, and like I said, he's credible. So your audience can actually buy him. That's what I think of the benefits of him.
Yeah, and again, he's an athletic prime. He really takes it seriously, even though he's a goofball in general, as most of those social media bros are. But he's taking the art seriously.
Don't know anything about him.
Me neither. I care not to. But yeah, he definitely performed at a high level. Tearing his ACL and getting some injuries there, and it's nice to see people that take it seriously, and the kid can go, especially for the level of knowledge and the amount of time that he's done it. So commend them. Roman typically doing Roman things, and the bloodline continues. Let's hop over to WWE Raw here. Mia Yim shows up. What are your thoughts about that?
Mia Yim, glad to see her get another opportunity to do stuff. The last time I remember being around Mia Yim was we had there was a show a while ago where this was back when I was still at the school or affiliated with the school and kind of going to class and then going to shows on the weekends and stuff like that. And I remember that there was this guy who booked a lot of us on the show, and he was supposed to be paying us more money than we normally got on shows, which is always why we always get skeptical when people are like, "Oh, I'm going to pay you this amount." I'm like, okay, we'll do the show, ? And then, we go out there. This guy there's no crowd. Like, the people he didn't sell any tickets to the show like he was supposed to. Then he has the sad face and he's like, he doesn't have the money to pay us. And I remember she was there with us at that show. So that was the last time I remember being around her. But I think that we wound up doing the show basically for the few, for like 5 or 6 people that was there, because it's like, okay, we drove all this way, we're gonna wrestle. But yeah, I hope well for her. I mean, they put her in a pretty good spot, and she's gonna be head to head with Rhea Ripley. So it looks like they want to take her seriously this time.
Yeah, and they're refreshing the roster in a good way. They're not overdoing it. Triple H is no doubt bringing in the people that he sees value in, so that's dope.
And you know what though, with all the people that he's bringing in, I've heard people talk about well why is it okay for them to do it? And people talk about Tony Khan putting so many people on his roster. And honestly, here's the difference: WWE has like 2 or 3 times the amount of TV time.
Yep.
That AEW has. They got more real estate to put these people on between Raw at 3 hours, SmackDown at 2 hours, NXT at 2 hours, NXT Level Up, main event. That's, you know what I mean? Like that's twice the amount of time that AEW has with actual television time.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what people need to understand. And they do house shows.
Yeah. No question about it. Great point. I really want to talk about Nikki Cross coming back. Looks amazing. She got married not too long ago. I'm pretty sure she did not too long ago. And she looks amazing. She's in shape. She looks great. I like her new presentation. Got rid of the cape. We saw some of that coming in the future. Anyway, with her getting rid of the cape and the superhero thing, she tosses the 24/7 title in the trash after defeating Dana Brooke.
She missed the trash, but we got the point.
It wasn't a full Kobe. It was, it wasn't a full. It was Kobe. It was Kobe before he had. It was Kobe after the throw. It wasn't Kobe before the throw. So it was a partial Kobe. Talk about that. The legacy of the 24/7 title. Your opinion. Shoot.
I don't think there really is a legacy. I think that it was,
who's the greatest 24/7 champion of all time in your opinion?
The greatest 24/7 champion of all time. Oh, look, man, that's not a real period of time I really like to think fondly of. So,
I'll give it to R-Truth personally.
Okay, fine. I think that it was something that was done to kill some time on the show.
Yeah,
and just to be a little silly thing, almost. You know what it almost reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, if you go to a baseball game or a basketball game, whatever, the stuff that happens in between the games. Yeah. Like, hey, guys, we're going to have these 3 hats, and we're going to put the ball in there. We're going to try to figure out which hat is the ball under, like, or which ball is the hat under, like, that type of stuff. Like, that's the 24/7 title to me. Or,
yeah.
It was just there.
Yeah. I feel that. Well, let's not waste more time on the 24/7 title than necessary.
Yeah, please not.
Austin Theory cashing in the Money in the Bank contract. Rollins defeating Theory to retain the U.S. Championship, and Bobby Lashley beat the brakes off of Austin Theory. And he's been kind of pissing Bobby off, and big bicep Bobby was not playing with him. Theory hot and cold with Triple H regime. Your thoughts, sir?
I did not hate this like everybody else did. I don't understand why people hate it, except for the predisposition to hate WWE booking, I think people assume the worst out of this.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate it for many reasons. One, people are like, oh, it doesn't make sense that he cash in for a mid-card title. Well, wait a minute for a second. Let's go back to August when Triple H really took over this thing, right? The first thing he did when he really was in control of Raw after SummerSlam was put an emphasis on the U.S. and IC title, making these titles seem important. They did the video package of the history. They had the tournament. Like, they made a big deal about the U.S. title. It made it seem like people should want this stuff, right?
Yeah.
They did that. Theory was a former U.S. champion. He lost it to Lashley at SummerSlam, right? Or was it before then? May have been before then.
Okay, yeah.
It was at Money in the Bank, because that's when he won the Money in the Bank. So he lost and I think he lost the rematch to Lashley at SummerSlam. But so he was a former U.S. champion. He wound up going head to head with Seth Rollins the week before and lost to Seth, right? Theory is a young character. He's the type of character that wants to get his what do they call it? He wants what he wants and he wants it now. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, let's look at this. If you're Theory as a character, you look over at Roman Reigns. You think you're going to find Roman Reigns in a vulnerable position? That's the first thing. Then, do you think you're going to find him in a vulnerable position where the bloodline is nowhere around to stop you from cashing in on this?
Nope.
Let's think about that.
Yeah,
okay, so no, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did they not show him a few weeks ago in NXT looking at Braun Breaker? Like,
Yeah.
NXT title. So, yeah, let's think about that one. But then you see Braun Breaker and you're kind of like, I don't want to get Steinerized. You know what I mean? Like, so then, okay, well, let's look over at Walter or Gunther. Let's look over at Gunther. Well, wait a minute. One, I wouldn't want to try to surprise this guy. And two, even if I did, he's got people around him too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you just lost to Seth. He might not like Seth as a character. He might be mad that he lost to Seth. And then he may not have even been planning to do it. But we all know that people make decisions, so young people make decisions in without really thinking them through.
Yeah.
He saw Seth get attacked by Lashley. That's my chance to get a title. I just want a title, bro. That's his chance to get a title. He runs down there. He cashes it in. Everything is pretty much going his way until Bobby Lashley pulls him out and beats him up too. Why would he have thought Lashley would have attacked him? There's no reason for him to think that.
Yeah.
I think that this whole thing made logical sense. Now, personally, I think the follow-up could go several different ways. One way it could go is Triple H has presented that the WWE is a fair organization. They're not trying to do this heelish stuff anymore. They're trying to showcase fair.
Yeah.
If Lashley attacked this guy during his Money in the Bank action, who's to say that Austin Theory doesn't get the Money in the Bank back next week?
Yeah.
Because of interference from Lashley that was just completely unfair, even though the Money in the Bank concept as a whole really isn't fair, but he earned the opportunity to not be fair.
Yeah.
And then, or it could go with, hey man, this guy who was handed something by a guy who we do not speak of on WWE television at this point, maybe we need to change his story because it links too much from the previous guy. We don't want to associate him with Vince. So maybe we do a story where this guy hits rock bottom. He has lost a lot, but now he's going to go on a different story. Maybe he's going to go on a different path. I think that was MVP a long time ago, where MVP was a cocky guy, made bad decisions, went on a losing streak for a while, and the crowd rallied behind him. So it could go one of those two ways to me.
I agree with you 100%. A lot of opportunity there. Okay, so we're going to hop over to AEW because we're going to go at it by the week. So that was Monday Night Raw. Now we're going to hop over to Wednesday Night Dynamite. Couple things to really talk about here. I took some notes, sir. It was in Boston, Massachusetts. And as a Marylander and as a Baltimore Ravens fan, I absolutely hate and despise Boston fans. I like the Boston accent. That's the only thing that I care about. And I also think Maryland seafood is probably better than Boston seafood. Don't at me, bruh. As you can tell, I have a deep disdain for Boston. I freaking hate them. So we opened it up again. This is an AEW trope at this point, where they find as many tag team titles throughout all of pro wrestling, and they try to put them all in one ring at the time. I think they might have broken the Guinness World Record of most tag team titles in one ring at one time. We had the AAA, IGWP, Ring of Honor, and the AEW tag titles. We had Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. We had FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler versus Swerve and Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve, The Guns, Austin and Colton Gunn, Stokely, and W. Morrissey. They teased some beef here with Keith. Keith just not being Keith seems like he's in his feels with Swerve. Swerve's recent behavior seems like Swerve is feeling himself a little Diddy type energy coming out of there. Some notes here that I have about the match, besides it being a Guinness World Record book of most tag titles in one match. No doubt this crowd, obnoxious crowd, by the way, in Boston, the claims are just massively over. I mean, people, they want to talk as much as they can about how AEW can't create, stars and acclaimed on their own, and through some of the ways that they've presented and getting the opportunity to have TV time and work through their kinks earlier, they're massively over, despite the obnoxious fans in Boston. The question I have, with this match, honestly, and I want to get your perspective, is Keith Lee versus Swerve. Like, when we're going to pull the trigger on this beef here? Because at this point, they just need to go at it. What do you think?
I don't know what they want to do with them, because here's the other thing. Okay, so this is one of these things about booking and why it's important to have someone who can look at the whole structure here, because you can't just look at this one angle and be like, oh, well, they should turn on each other or whatever. Because then you got to look at the landscape. Didn't we just do this with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs? Like, and look how long that turn was, and look at how far they've really progressed.
Yeah.
Since that turn happened, right? Okay, but so now you had a tag team and you made them in the singles cast. So now you're going to take this tag team and break them up into singles too? Like, there at some point, as I kind of talked about, there's only so much real estate for these different guys. So if they want to be on TV, the best bet is for them to be as a tag team. So who's to say that they just don't both turn heel? Yeah. Like, maybe Swerve just convinces them to turn heel.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case, because they're trying to show that Keith Lee has a morals compass and a righteous, seems like some sort of low-level righteous indignation there. So, yes, that is a good point, but I think the likely reality is that he won't. But, yeah, you're right.
Well, but you know how they like to swerve for the swerve sake.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later in the day, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, they may be telling you, oh, Keith Lee is going to turn heel, when that's just a swerve, or not turn heel, but Keith Lee isn't liking his heel stuff, but that could just be a swerve for him to go full heel. Like,
you're right. You're right.
So
no, they've been pulling the trigger on trying to like they've been swerving for swerve's sakes for a lot the last couple of weeks. Love you, Swerve. So they've definitely been doing that. One thing, so we'll hop from that match here. Some other things that I really wanted to talk about. MJF. And this is something that the AEW is getting really good at, and personally. And again, we talked about how the echoes, and I've talked about this, how the ecosystem at AEW in terms of a large brand and having a large mainstream voice in the culture, whether that's being on, the Breakfast Club or other things, they're really still trying to find their footing in mainstream, and they've done a little bit better with embracing hip hop and trying to be, instead of the indie darling that they still are and the hardcore fan base that many people talk about all the time. I really appreciate.
Can I just say something?
No, but go ahead.
Well, you just mentioned the Breakfast Club, and I just wanted to say this before I forgot. So it's interesting that you say that, because I don't know if anybody ever watches Charlemagne's podcast, Brilliant Idiots, but he was on Brilliant Idiots on Halloween, and he was dressed up as Sting, right? So you would think that means that he probably watches AEW, yes?
Yeah.
Well, when he said who he was, he said, I'm Sting from the WWE.
Oh.
So that should just kind of tell you.
Oof.
That should just kind of tell you what his reference point is when it comes to reference, or when it comes to wrestling, because he recognizes Sting was in WWE, but he doesn't recognize where he's at now.
Yeah, so I appreciate your swerve from my point, but yeah, that is true, that the mainstream consciousness is WWE centric. But I'm going to commend AEW here. MJF on Pardon My Take? Was it Pardon My Take? Or it was Pardon My Take podcast, which is a well-known sports podcast. Huge amount of viewership. I mean, it's part of the media ecosystem when it comes to, that it's like on TV, but it's respected and almost like they have their own authentic fan base for that podcast.
What is Pardon My Take on TV?
I think it's I know it's used to be originally, was it on ESPN originally? Let's see, it might be part of something else.
That's pardon my interruption.
There's a lot of pardons here, sir. Pardon me as I look this up. It might be on Barstool's. Let's see, pardon.
Yeah, I saw the name, but I didn't know much about it.
Yeah, it's on Barstool Sports, same as the $1 million worth of game with Gilly and Wallow. But yeah, it's a huge thing. You know, Barstool Sports, a huge alternative sports podcast and a lot of bro type humor. But Pardon My Take is very huge fan base. And for again, AEW is doing really good with these kind of, I'm not saying indie, but like these kind of they're kind of like.
Well, you had it right.
Indie cool, like they're cool, but they're like, you know how I love indie music. It's like, you know how your band is really cool, and then one day you hear a commercial with their music, and it's like, oh, I knew about them 10 years ago, and everyone's like, oh yeah, this is dope. What song is that? And you're like, dude, I knew about this band for 10 years, bruh. You're late. But anyway, they and with the Players Tribune and things of that nature, AEW is trying to figure out their voice in mainstream media here. But I really like that they had MJF on Pardon My Take podcast. They gave him an opportunity to deliver his message. He called himself he's like the new AEW Messiah, and in some ways. So MJF, again, I like the fact that he was on another type of media platform. It was interesting. It was unique. It was different. It was refreshing to me. And MJF continues to show his ability when given the opportunity to show his value to the company outside of the ropes. And this dude just has everything going for him. What did you think about him doing the Pardon My Take promo there? And MJF's just star power in general. Where would you grade it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I mean, it was just mentioned that he was going to be
in a movie, right?
In the Von Erich movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's definitely helpful. But I think that. So I think they have a little bit of a problem because, if I'm not mistaken, he maybe shooting that movie now, and this is right before the pay-per-view. Like, he's not able to show up live in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
That's not particularly a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially when next week is the go-home show, right?
Yeah. Well, what do you okay, I get what you're saying there. But the main question I had, and then I want you to answer this for me, please, Mr. Randal, sir. Star power, 1 to 10. MJF, shoot. What you got?
MJF star power in AEW is about a 5.
I'm talking about mass media. Where do you see him beyond?
Well, here's why I say that. Now answer.
Okay.
Until AEW as a company grows their own profile, his profile can only be so high.
I get it.
So if he's outside of that, like if he were, again, I'm not trying to say that he needs to be in WWE, but I'm trying to say that if he wanted to have a higher star power, you go to the WWE. It's almost like the NBA. Like, you know, this happened with Dwight Howard, where they were like, when he was in Orlando, they were like, oh, he needs to get to LA. He needs to raise his profile. And living in Orlando, I used to hate hearing that because it's like, man, like, why are y'all messing up what we have here when we have something good here?
Yeah.
But when he did go to LA, now for better and for worse, it raised his star profile.
Yeah.
And you know that happened. But
he did get a ring. Yeah.
Well, not that first time.
No. Definitely not the first time. The second time around. Yeah.
But that's what I'm referencing. Like when he left Orlando to come to LA, it was because that's where the media is going to be, right? When it comes to between AEW and WWE has so many established connections as far as everything. You see MJF on an ESPN proper. You see him on different things like that. So that's what would raise his profile. But if you're asking me compared to everybody else in AEW, I mean, I think that he's right under Chris Jericho as far as name recognizability and all that type of stuff.
Here's what I would say the most star power in AEW period. I'm gonna give you this. You gotta go Jericho. Just historically, he's been that guy, and everyone knows he's a celebrity. Chris Jericho basically is a celebrity.
He's on the Masked Singer this week.
Yeah, he's a celebrity. So Jericho, MJF, you got Jade Cargill, and you have Ricky Starks, in my personal opinion. And then I would say just massive star power and personality. Jon Moxley in a lot of ways. I think Jon Moxley, if you could use him as like a Liam Neeson, like a younger Liam Neeson, where he's like this kind of vigilante badass. He's done some movies. Jon Moxley has... If you gave him a series where he's just a vigilante from Cincinnati, like the slums of Cincinnati, just taking vengeance on motorcycle gangs or something like that, I think Jon Moxley could have a good secondary career as a vigilante type of movie action star type deal.
But see, when you say Moxley, are you referring to what AEW fans think, or what outside of people who watch AEW think?
I'm going off outside. My personal opinion, because he's been in movies before, not necessarily big movies, but he's already done movies. Yeah, he's done movies. Yeah.
What movies has he done? I'm not saying that to be funny.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Give me 1 second, sir.
Unless it was a WWE produced movie, which yeah.
He has done. I'll tell you right now. Give me 1 second. All right, he has done 12 rounds. 12 rounds 3 lockdown. He's been on. Let's see.
Wasn't that a WWE movie?
I'm not sure. I don't give a flying peacock of what it is. He's been on TV. Let's see. Other media. Here we go. He made his acting debut in the WWE produced. You're right. 12 rounds 3 lockdown. He also was in a film. He was in a WWF film Countdown. He also appeared in a sports action film called Cage Fighter. That's the one I'm referring to, where he plays Randy Stone, a professional wrestler who crosses over to MMA and fights the film's protagonist. So Cage Fighter, and I don't think that's a WWE movie. It was streamed via Fight TV, and it was came out. How much did it do in the movies?
Okay, so it was an indie movie.
Indie, yeah. It was released through Fight. So yeah, so he's trying to develop those chops.
Okay, so this is what I was referring to. Like when we're talking about star power, like the problem is that he's John Moxley these days. He's not Dean Ambrose. He's John Moxley. John Moxley as a person, I don't think he's really interested in that type of stuff anyway. I think he's more interested in doing independent wrestling matches and stuff like that, where he can pretty much do what he wants to do. But again, when you reference Jade Cargill, and I think that if she wants her profile raised, she can't. She's pretty much buried within this company that she's in, right? They barely really put a focus on her like that. When it's one of those things where both her and Wardlow, if they were not in the company that they were in right now, they would get a heck of a lot more opportunities to do stuff. The way that Bianca Belair is doing those commercials and stuff like that, you know Jay would be doing that if she was in WWE.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Go ahead. Same with Wardlow. Like, these guys are. Yeah,
I was going to say the 3 most valuable assets personally to me, when you're talking about just overall media ecosystem, large mass media availability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the top 3 will be, personally, I'll say Jericho, Cargill, and Starks. Because Starks can talk, Starks is smooth, Starks has charisma. He's a likable guy when you hear him. He can carry a conversation. That's the most valuable assets across all brands. I just think if I was and MJF, so you got to go MJF, right? MJF, Ricky, Cargill, and then if I was WWE, if I had when the bidding war of 2024 happens, I would give whatever Jade Cargill, blank check, MJF, blank check, Ricky Starks, whatever you could give him double of whatever AEW's giving him.
Let me say I like Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks wouldn't be in the top 3 for me. The top 3 would be MJF, Jade, and Wardlow.
What?
And Ricky, let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
Okay, think about this for a second. You want to showcase yourself as having premier athletes. You want to showcase yourself as having, again, with Wardlow, just think about this for a second. If you were picturing putting a guy on a talk show, so who's got a talk show right now? I'm trying to think. Let's say Jimmy Fallon, right?
Okay.
Think about when you're watching a talk show like that, and you have guys coming out that say, "I am a wrestler," right? Wardlow would be the guy that you would, as far as a guy, Wardlow is the guy that you want coming out of that curtain in a suit, dressed in that way. It kind of still shows off his physique, and he can come out there he's a guy. He's got what Kevin Nash, what they talk about with the airport. Like the guys look around and see, well, he's somebody, and women would probably look at him like, oh, who's that? Okay. And I'm not saying that Ricky Starks doesn't have that, but Ricky Starks, as far as his build, he's a guy. I'm not saying he's the average guy, because look, at this stage of my life, he is in way better shape than I am. but what I'm saying is, as far as like just for that look, right? Like if you think about like an almost, like that's too extreme. Braun Strowman is almost too extreme. Wardlow is a happy medium of he's a guy who looks like a guy's guy. Yeah, but looks like
okay. I'm gonna punch you right in the throat with this one, right? Okay, we know AEW, not punch you literally, but I'm a counter punch. Got you. But when we talk about superstar and what it makes, again, we know that AEW is not in the business of superstar. It's kind of a joke to them. But when we talk about a person who you do need some sort of superstar type energy and personality, swag, Ricky, communication and interpersonal skills, Ricky. The look, of course, I agree with you 100% with Wardlow. But when you can't tell me that if you put Ricky right next to Wardlow in the seat, who has more of a star presence when you talk about being a major star in all of entertainment across the board? If you put them right next to each other, sitting down, however they normally dress, and interviewing both of them, who would stand out more to you in an interview that way? Outside of the look, remove the look, because we live in 2022 where most people don't give a fuck about that. Excuse my language, but
I don't think that's true. I think that's what people who don't have the look want you to believe.
Oh God!
But I don't think that's true at all.
God.
Okay.
I'll do it like this.
Listen, with Ricky Starks, I do believe that there are areas where he would be better in than Wardlow. I'm not saying that he can't talk better than him. I'm talking about that initial first impression. That's all I'm trying to say.
I just something about his charisma, something about Ricky, about his charisma, his way of maneuvering. He's just the way he carries himself. The dude carries himself like a damn star, dude. But I get what you're saying with the first looks. I can agree with that. I can give you a little bit on that.
And I think with Ricky, what I would say about Ricky is Ricky needs to be in a company where there's already we want more of this company. We want, like, Ricky to me is we want more guy. You need that first guy to go in there where people see that person, and that breaks the walls down. Sorry, Jericho, for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, okay, they've let their guard down. They've seen this wrestler. Well, who else is there? Like, that type of thing. And you know, we talked about this with Austin and The Rock before. That is how The Rock got to where he was. Because you had Austin, who was already out there where everybody wanted to see Austin, and then after they saw Austin, those places would say, well, who else do you have out there? Who else do you have? And they'd sit in The Rock. And that's how The Rock got to be where The Rock was as far as the notoriety. Because people were like, oh, what's this guy with this eyebrow that you're facing? Like, that's how he became known. And I think that's Ricky's path to break out superstardom, is to be in the company where you have the one guy and then he could be the other guy. And that's not to say he can't surpass the other guy, but he needs somebody else to get that introduction first.
I feel you. Okay, let's hop over to Stokely. Stokely had a video package. We talked about, Sunny Delight writing or something like that. In the video package, I thought it was interesting. Again, AEW trying something different with this video package or the way it was shot, and I thought it was interesting. I definitely, that's what I'll leave with that. What did you think about the video package?
The video package with Stokely?
Yeah.
Remember, my DVR was having some issues when I was trying to watch the show. So what happened in that?
Just the way they shot it, the visuals, the music, everything about it was dope. But anyway, let's not stay in the weeds on that. I like that. And for those who are watching AEW Dynamite, go back and see it. Give me your perspective. Eddie Kingston, Ethan Page. Again, I like this. On this, as much as I've been kind of down on some of the matchups, and you could kind of see like, oh, this person's going to win. You can kind of pretty much tell based off who's matching up with who's going to win. In this match here, especially for the men's world title eliminator quarterfinal match, that's a lot of words to say. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Anyway, so we had Eddie King with Ortiz and Ethan Page. I did not expect Ethan Page to get the W, but I think it was the right move.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly didn't. Eddie Kingston's, especially the way that Tony books from time to time, he has his favorites. And to say Ethan Page has been on the ascent, he has, but he hasn't been shown in the light enough for me to really feel that he would get the W here. So him getting the W was refreshing, and maybe this is something him getting ground here, some firm ground, and getting an opportunity to take it and run with it. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Didn't they already tell you that? Didn't they already tell you without telling you that Ethan Page was going to be fighting Jon Moxley at some point soon? Because he called him out and all that other type of stuff, and cut a promo on Moxley like a week ago. Like, it makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, I feel you. I'm just saying the way that Ethan Page been booked over the last 6 to 12 months. I had a reason to doubt. How about that? But getting the W here, which is dope. Then we had an open challenge. Oof. Ari Daivari is in the ring for open challenge. Interesting. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Wardlow, what we really want to talk about is Powerhouse Hobbs, the cocoa butter people's champion here. Greased up, looking good. I'm excited to see what Hobbs can do when he gets the opportunity here. What do you think about the potential here? Do you think ultimately Hobbs is going to get the title sometime between here and the next 6 months?
Who's to say? But I don't understand what happened here. I really don't. I haven't understood. And this is what I'm talking about with Hobbs, right? Like, Hobbs and Starks had their feud. Now they look like they were starting to say, okay, Hobbs is going to go after Wardlow for the TV title. Or TNT title, sorry. He's standing next to the ROH TV champion. It's hard to easy to mix these things up.
Yeah.
But, even when Hobbs first was having an issue with Wardlow, they had who is it? The embassy folks coming out and jumping Wardlow too, where it's like, okay, well, this is starting to become convoluted. But then they just started having it between Hobbs and Wardlow. Okay, that's interesting. And now they just have Joe turn on Wardlow while he's in the middle of arguing with Hobbs. Like,
that was a unnecessary swerve. To me, it takes the tension off Hobbs, where you really need to build Hobbs and bring Hobbs up. And Hobbs, honestly, to me, Hobbs, if he stays with AEW, will be a world. Mark my words. You can go back and rewind the tape. He will be a champion at some point in time.
See my thoughts about Ricky Starks, MJF, Jade Cargill, and Wardlow.
Yeah,
that same thing applies to Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs definitely looks like a badass. Hobbs, Cocoa Butter Hobbs. That's his new nickname, by the way, because the brother was
get the heck out of there.
Yeah, Cocoa Butter Hobbs was doing his thing, man, and I was like, this brother, he old and ready for some action. Pause, and
just remember, as a company, this is the company that said, you know what, we think it's a better idea to prioritize Orange Cassidy over Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah,
just remember that.
Yeah,
so
that's
Twice, by the way. Twice.
Yeah, that's still and actually he's had the fact that Orange Cassidy had a title before Hobbs is preposterous.
Lock that man up.
Dr. Umar Johnson, who is a famous pro-black on social media, he has this new thing where black people, if they do something offensive, they get like 50 lashes or 100 lashes. 1,000 lashes to Tony Khan for him booking Hobbs losing to God the freaking pockets, as in the words of Jim Cornette. I hate to quote him, but I'm still hurt about. It's almost as egregious as Becky Lynch, literally this, or the Kofi getting this champion. It's almost as bad.
Look, if you're Kofi, I'd be much happier losing to Brock Lesnar in 30 seconds than losing to Orange Cassidy in a competitive match.
Yeah,
twice.
It's like a nerdy basement dweller's pipe dream to be able to beat up a big hulking black dude. and wear a denim jacket and pants. It's kind of like a nerdy cosplay type thing going there. Project much for some people. So yeah, there was no way in any planet I would ever see. And they made Hobbs actually look kind of goofy. But anyway, we're going to talk about Hobbs now. Let's not worry about that. Let's get back to Hobbs now. Cocoa Butter Hobbs. I'm excited about him and this opportunity to get the TNT title. And honestly, the title at this point, just the way it's been presented up and down, I think some new blood will be ready. And I think if Hobbs given the opportunity, the right presentation, he going to bring some, he's going to be the Cocoa Butter Hobbs will be the people's champion. And I hope he just gets more and more greasier and more oiled up as he gets closer to the championship. And when he finally gets the championship, I want him to shine just as much as the title. But yeah. Another thing, Jade and Nyla Rose, Full Gear. I'm pumped. I really want to see Jade go into her tool bag. Because when I watch Bianca Belair, obviously Bianca Belair is 5'7". Jade Cargill is 5'10". She's a little bit longer and lengthier, and she moves around a little bit different than a Bianca Belair. We all know Bianca Belair is probably, no, not probably. She is a generational talent. Probably when it's all said and done, probably top 5 of all time. But Jade at 5'10", a little longer, but from a physique point of view, nobody comes close, men or women in pro wrestling. And I'm interested to see where she goes in her tool bag versus Nyla, because Nyla's a bigger woman, right? And I think Jade will really, I just want to see Jade just really toss her around. I want to see some Samoan drops. I want to see some suplexes. I want to see some improvised I want to just see a different tool bag. I don't just want to see a drop kick, spine buster, clothesline. I want to see her dig a little bit deeper, and with someone bigger that she can kind of move around and throw around a little bit more. I think she can really, highlight her strength and her impressive physicality here. Talk about real quick. Let's break this down. Jade Cargill's skill set. Do you agree with her, like kind of digging in the bag a little bit more and finding some other moves and some new holes, some new things to really hide? Because Jade does have it. She's shown different things over different pay-per-views. She adds little tweaks and she does little things that you've never seen her do before. I just want to see put some of those things together and just go in her bag and find that extra tool that she uses again in this match. What do you think? Jade's tool bag, physical tool bag at this point.
I think that she should just show off her strength. I mean, as far as, when I say strength, I mean like actual strength, not her strengths and weakness.
Do you think she could do an overhead press of Nyla Rose?
No. Well, I mean, if there's cooperation, but
with cooperation, with cooperation, do you think she could literally? I think she could do it.
Possibly. I don't know. That's a different level strength that I haven't really seen. If we were talking about her, overhead press and Trish Stratus. So I'd say, yeah, she could do that. But Nyla Rose might cause some more issues. I mean, look, I think that as far as this match goes, I really don't. I just have her go out there and almost the way that Brock Lesnar would dominate somebody pretty quickly. Do that. That's what I need to see from this. I don't need to see a long 10, 20-minute match. Just get in, get out. Don't make mistakes.
Yeah, but that's the problem though. She's only been presented really short matches. Like, this is a pay-per-view. I think they need to get 7 to 10 minutes.
But why do you want to see that? Because here's the thing. Who's the heel in the match?
I think they're turning Jade face, to be honest.
Okay. I don't. This is one of these things where it has no good outcome as far as like, okay, is she a heel? Is she a face?
Jade goes face, and then you Britt Baker will be heel, and then we'll see. I think Jade. I think honestly it would be too early to turn her face, but it seems like they are turning her face. I'm not sure yet, but I think Jade.
I don't think they are. I feel like this is the AEW special placeholder feud where we don't really have a heel or face because they're shades of gray, guys. It's just shades of gray. Like I think that this is their special of okay, we're just gonna have a match that's just different and like who you like, and we'll just go from there. But because I feel like it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
what's your perspective?
By the way,
I'll ask you a question. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, this whole story
Yeah.
I don't like the story just as a whole, because why would Nyla be allowed to just take her belt and no official's going to step in and take it from her?
Yeah.
Why would that be okay? This is WWE in 1999.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, the psychology behind it is definitely lacking. All right, what's the percentage you think Jade actually loses the title here?
No.
Okay.
She's not going to lose the title.
I don't think so either, but, swears happen.
I told you what the plan is going to be. When they're going to put Britt Baker in there against her at some point, and that's who's going to wind up taking this belt from her. Because Britt Baker is the women's division, and who's going to be the first person to hold both of the women's titles? Just think about that. Who's going to be the woman who first
I feel like
both
Jade.
belts?
I think Jade should be the one to do it personally.
You think that's going to happen in that company?
I don't know. I didn't say it is going to happen. I think it should happen, because who's more again? Jade. Yeah, she should have all the belts.
Well, here's the thing. Their unofficial consultant, Dave Meltzer, does not like the style that Jade does and doesn't think that she's very good. So good luck with that.
Well, you know who I heard give Jade props, who a lot of people kind of don't like a lot, or very polarizing as much as Joe Biden is in politics. You know who gave her respect?
Who?
And Jimmy Cornette.
Well, so I've listened to all those episodes when she debuted. Like, they laughed at her at first because of the absurdity, more so because of Brandy. But they've always said since she's been going on that they like the presentation. She seems to be taking it seriously. They're doing the right thing as far as having her in short matches and stuff like that. But but the problem is, see, here's the thing. You just said a mark against her in terms of AEW fans. Wait, Jim Cornette likes her? She's gotta go.
Yeah, I don't care about those dudes. Those dudes, they all smell like cheese. So I'm not worried about a dude that smells like cheese talking about black women on Jade Cargill, period. She should be the first undisputed women's champion in AEW. Ooh, that's such a story you could tell there. Ooh, that's a story you could tell. But anyway, we're not going to go down on, we love Jade unapologetically here. And it's not, she just has it. And I think,
out as soon as you can. Get out.
Yeah,
Get out of there.
I think ultimately she will be at WrestleMania, and her and Bianca Belair is going to tear the roof off of WrestleMania. And when that happens, whether it's her or Sasha, because Jade, Bianca, I think Jade and Bianca could be one of the biggest things in women's wrestling history. And obviously Sasha and Bianca was great, but just the way they looked, the presentation, I think. At a WrestleMania, I need to get tickets, and whatever it costs, take my money. But anyway, Britt Baker and Saraya in a promo. I want to hop quickly into this. She said, AEW is my house. She talked about how she was a superstar in a company where the word superstar is a curse word, basically. Saraya took a dig at TK. She talked about the factory people. Saraya, honestly, since he's been there, her best promo, but very confusing because what are we doing here? Is you're taking shots at the owner again? Which, okay, it's kind of cutesy to do that.
Promos that don't make sense.
She talking about superstar. Yeah, are we supposed to like Saraya or like Britt? And so I was confused by this. I'll let you have the floor, sir.
No, I agree with what you just said. Like, where are we going with this? Who are we supposed to like? Who are we not supposed to like? The fans are. You notice the fans kind of cheered for Britt at some point too, because this is our homegrown girl. Like, how are you gonna? It sounds like you're talking about the company. We do not do that around here. You do not talk about AEW to one of our homegrown stars. You were just someone who was cast away, and we took you in. You better bow down to us. Is how I feel like those fans always react.
Yeah, they were like, we'll go for you. We go for you. It was weird. It was a weird thing. Again, we need better editing at AEW. Let's hop over to Moxley promo. It was unnecessary for Moxley to do this. I think Moxley has set the table already effectively with MJF when they had their back and forth. I think it was a little overkill. It was a fine promo, but I don't think it added to the rivalry. And honestly, right now, you should never have Moxley on Rampage at this point. They overexposed Moxley like I think the week before when he was on Rampage, he's a great champion. Use him sparingly. Learn from the other company that you don't like. But I love Moxley to death. He's my favorite wrestler in AEW. So outside of Jade and many other, Hobbs and Ricky. But I think it was overkill. It was just a little bit too much.
On Rampage. It's not like anybody's watching.
But it's for the champion, it's too much, personally.
I mean, look, I try to be fair to AEW when I can, and here's one of those times where I'll do it. Ric Flair didn't just wrestle on the pay-per-views back in the day. You might see him on Worldwide Wrestling, which was a syndicated show at the time. You might see him on WCW Pro. Hulk Hogan was a different story. They only put him on TV two times a year in May and November during the Sweet Sweep. But other than that, you see him on Saturday Night Main Event, which was, sporadically throughout the year. But, I mean, I don't have a problem with him being in matches. Title matches is different. Now, he was just in a tag team match, right? That's fine. Put him in a tag teim match. But,
I don't like him in matches against people that don't deserve a title shot, like random people that don't. Yeah.
Look, I don't understand the Eliminator concept. I don't understand the branding of that. Why, if Vince McMahon would have done something like that, where he randomly started calling number one contender matches, title eliminator, here's that corporate speak again. But AEW gets away with it, so good for them. But Moxley, as far as the promo goes, look, I think that promos should be done on television. There should be more promos, more so than interactions as it is. So, physical altercations, I should say. But, I mean, TV is at its core an infomercial to sell these pay-per-views. So they need to hear more from him. They need to see more investment. Because nothing has really happened here, right? If you think about it, MJF just said, I'm cashing in. Both of them got attacked by a totally different group that apparently neither one was responsible for, allegedly. But neither one of them have really gotten physical with each other. There's been no issues. They haven't really had too much, talk time between them. So you got to hear from somebody to sell this show. They should have learned from the match last time between Punk and Moxley. Like the way that they built that show, it didn't generate the best bias. So
yeah, definitely. Let's hop over to SmackDown. It's the streak continues. SmackDown must-watch TV, much in my life personally, as much as Game of Thrones or Sopranos or whatever. It's been must-watch. Never seen SmackDown. Nice.
No, I never seen Sopranos or Game of Thrones.
I know, I'm just joking with you. It's almost like saying you never watched SmackDown. How dare you? Terrible human being. But besides your lack of appreciation for the visual form of movies and TV shows and HBO premium television programming, SmackDown.
Hey, I watch The Big Bang Theory every day on HBO Max. So
respect. Okay, a great show, no doubt. And a lot of the AEW fan base as well. But anyway,
I think they hate it.
Whole universe. Okay, anyway, we had I absolutely loved the way they made this a big deal. We've had so many, bro. On the outset, you could say, okay, I'm tired of seeing the Usos versus New Day. How many flipping matches have these dudes had over the last decade, right? But the way they were presented, how important the stakes were from the commentary team, and how they made the time so important, how long they've had this reign, and they gave them time to work for something this big. And in wrestling, accomplishments are hard to come by unless you make a new title or a new tournament or a new belt or whatever the case may be. And this was a really important record that was broken here. Usos gets the W, but in a lot of ways, it could have went both ways. I totally appreciated this match. It gave them the right amount of time. They made it serious, and it was good. What did you think?
Yeah, I think that they did a good job building up the fact that, hey, here's your current longest reigning tag team title holders versus the potential longest reigning tag team title holder. And, I think that they did a pretty good match as far as basically like the New Day were the last boss for them to accomplish that goal, which
exactly.
was, that worked out.
Yeah.
And, I think that, I actually liked what they did on Raw, building this up until Riddle was introduced to it. But yeah, I think that this was what it should have been, and it worked out well.
Yeah. Also, I think the Usos have the record for most mud holes stomped and walked dry in Supra. In red super sneakers in the history of wrestling. Because those supers, man, when they kick you with that super kick with them supers on, it's a different type of hit. People who grew up in the 2000s era when everyone wanted to wear the Supra sneakers, like they're kind of like skater shoes, kind of not, kind of hip hop skater-ish type shoes from like Journeys. The Usos know how to do a super kick with supers on. So I would also want to shout them out. Nobody super kicks people with red supers better than the Usos. But then, it was a great match. I also appreciated, I can't believe Shinsuke lost in the World Cup. That was a surprising thing. We had Jinder Mahal coming back versus Braun Strowman. That was interesting. I will say another Guinness World Record, because we're doing a lot of these Guinness World Record books. He is the biggest ass kicker who looks like a giant spicy Mike and Ike. Braun Strowman with all that red on, he just looked like a big, violent, giant Mike and Ike. You know, he just was huge. It just the whole outfit while kicking ass. It was quite a display. So the giant Mike and Ike, that's his new nickname. The giant Mike and Ike did his thing, and it was interesting to see Jinder Mahal back. What did you think about Shinsuke taking an L and Jinder Mahal back as well?
Who did Shinsuke lose to again?
Shinsuke lost to someone in the new tag team. Lost.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Shinsuke's been there for a while. He doesn't necessarily need to win all the time. If you want to get the new guys over, you know, you got to get some good singles wins. So Shinsuke's a guy that you can get a win over.
Yeah. Overall, SmackDown must-watch TV again. This week in wrestling, man. What do you think? Anything that really caught your eye and that you're excited about? Or no, my question would be.
Sammy.
Go ahead.
There was no Sammy.
Yeah, that was, and they did good without Sammy. They did good without Sammy this week.
But you know what? Here's the thing. No Sammy, kind of let down a little bit. But you know what? Hey, that means that next week people will be looking forward to seeing him even more.
Yeah, and the crowd was asking. We won Sammy, no doubt, probably one of the most popular figures in wrestling right now. How pumped are you for Full Gear?
We didn't talk about the fact that they built towards War Games, and it looked like that Reigns was going to acknowledge the Usos, right? And then he got interrupted.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's some story there. Okay. Which one are you more looking forward to? Survivor Series or Full Gear?
This isn't even a question.
But go ahead, just to titillate.
Well, we all know that. Oh, well, again, it's got War Games, man. There's no competition here.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to. Yeah, we're gonna do a prediction show for War Games, Survivor Series, which is a big deal. Randal will be there. We'll try to get as many big names as possible, and we'll have some new people on as well. So be excited. Ooh, yeah, the Mr. Burns finger, Birdman's hands, just kind of. Do
we have a match lineup for Full Gear?
Not yet, not to my knowledge. Do you? I know Jade Cargill.
Isn't it like next week?
That's true. I hate how AEW does that when it comes to a pay-per-view. They're like, yeah, we'll just let you know the week of.
Right. They don't have, I know they don't want to hear this.
MJF and John Moxley got that.
Well, we know that one.
Yeah. I don't like how they just be like, oh, we just throw these matches in there. Yeah, it's you need to get us excited about the card and then build that, it's weird. Yeah.
Okay, I see you got Moxley and MJF. You got the World Title Eliminator Finals, in which whoever's in that. The tag team match between Acclaim and Swerve and Our Glory. Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter. Chris Jericho and Danielson, Guevara, and Claudio in a four-way match. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in a steel cage. Pariah and Britt Baker. Darby Allin and Sting versus Jeff Jarrett and Jade Cargill. And we have so much more. Oh, sorry. But look, I got to be honest. I I hope the best for AEW. I do not think this one will do as well as the last full year did.
Yeah. I'm on a scale of 1 to 10 out of 5. I'm like, I'll pay the $50, but I'm definitely, I'm excited about just the Triple H era so far. Has had some rough spots, but generally it's been intriguing. Generally, it's been a refreshing presentation change. And are they out AEWing? Are they out AEWing AEW in some ways? So we shall see. But yeah, anything else before I let you go, sir? Your 49ers play shortly. What do you think about your 49ers?
They play this evening. Look, I think that they're going to be a strong playoff contender.
With that quarterback?
Possibly winning the division.
With that guy?
They went to the NFC Championship game with him last year. What are you talking about?
That's true, but why do people make him seem so bad though?
Because same reason with Alex Smith, they want to see somebody better.
Oh,
it doesn't mean he's not good. It's just, he's not flashy enough. He's not this. He's not that. Look, this dude, and by the way, this guy's no Alex Smith, but as far as Alex Smith being, one of my favorite guys to watch back in the day, because I think we're the same age, and he was kind of an underdog quarterback as far as had a nice redemption arc going and everything. But I think that with Jimmy G, I think that he's just not. He's not Patrick Mahomes out there. He's not Josh Allen. They want to see somebody who's more dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my Ravens, we're Super Bowl favorites at this point. Defense with Roquan Smith coming over. Safeties, the young guys playing Linderbaum, Hamilton playing great. Likely playing great. Our team is getting it together. 6-3. The slate of games we play on the second half, it doesn't look too crazy. Besides the Cincinnati Bengals, typical Ravens love in the second half of the season that the media gives us, and sometimes hopefully that we don't smell ourselves too quickly. But I think the Ravens will win the division, and I ultimately think you might be having a conversation about MVP or possible Super Bowl stuff. So we shall see. What if it was the Ravens and 49ers? I think Shannon Sharp on the Undisputed podcast
I don't want to see that again.
Well, because we'll destroy you. No question about it. But
I haven't forgot 2013, okay?
Yeah, and you shouldn't. So just realize that you're one of, we are a superior franchise. No, I'm just joking. You guys have like 6 Super Bowls, right? 5. Okay, gotcha. We're 2-0, so undefeated. But anyway, besides that, it was nice to have you back on, bro. Episode 101, new podcast, new sound. We put a little juice on it. Go listen to Fifth. He's dope. He's talented. FIFTH from the Bay Area. And guys, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on the WWB podcast. Where can they find you, Randal?
Look, y'all can find us on HBCW on YouTube. That's HBCW with a space, and then wrestling. Find that red, green, and yellow logo on there. And, hopefully we'll have another episode posted by next week. It's been a while. Shouldn't have left y'all without a new match to watch, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll be back. We back in this thing. You can follow us at the WWB podcast _ Hop on YouTube. That's the Baltimore way of saying it. Hop over to the tube and see if you could get some of that. We're going to put some more exclusives. We're trying to build the page. Show us some love, in the words of Steve Harvey. So we're out. Peace.